Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, the AEA unveils third quarter avionics market report. A drone pilot is fined by the FAA, and the NTSB releases their preliminary report from OV-1 accident in Florida. Happy Monday and welcome to the show. I'm Sophie Herlock. The AEA has released its third quarter market report. In the first 9 months of the year, total worldwide business and general aviation avionics sales amounted to more than $2.2 billion, as reported by participating companies. Mike Adamson, president and CEO of AEA, said the business and general aviation avionics industry has now seen an increase in year-over-year sales for 11 consecutive quarters. The figure represented a 14.3% increase in total sales compared to the first 9 months of 2018. During the third quarter months of July, August, and September, sales increased 14.9% compared to the same time frame 1 year ago. Of the more than $2.2 billion in sales during the first 9 months of 2019, 52.8% came from the retrofit market, while forward fit sales amounted to 47.2% of the sales. We'll be right back with Around the Patch.
The Sling 2, a modern, economical flight training airplane for today's pilots. 120-knot cruise, sporty handling, sliding bubble canopy, modern glass panel, and dependable Rotax power. Available in LSA or kit versions. Check it out at airplanefactory.com.
Today is a new dawn.
With a new name.
Un nuevo logotipo.
A new factor.
Und einen globalen Kundenfokus.
We are Continental Aerospace Technologies, and we stand behind you.
Welcome back. It's time for today's trip around the patch. After a 20-year run, AMA Expo has come to an end. AMA officials announced the decision at this year's AMA Expo West after the AMA Executive Council voted to end the show. The AMA has instead decided to explore multiple district events across the country in 2020 and in the years to follow. Boeing released a statement following the NTSB's determination of a probable cause in an uncontained engine failure aboard SWA 1380, which resulted in the fatal injury of a passenger aboard the plane. Our common goal is to help prevent similar events from happening in the future. Safety and quality are Boeing's top priorities, and Boeing is committed to working closely with the FAA, engine manufacturers, and industry stakeholders to implement enhancements that address the NTSB's safety recommendations. Air Wisconsin pilots approved a new 3-year contract that will provide $6 million in pay raises and other improvements. After 2 weeks of voting, Air Wisconsin pilots ratified a tentative agreement reached on September 12th by a margin of 73% to 27%, with 87% of the airline's eligible voters casting ballots. The new contract will become amendable on November 21st of 2022. ATR delivered the first of 3 ATR aircraft to Tunisair Express, which the airline will use to renew its regional fleet. The latest generation of ATR 72-600 burns 40% less fuel and emits 40% less CO2 compared to a similarly sized regional jet. ATR's market forecast sees a demand for 350 new turboprops over the next 20 years for the Africa and Middle East region. We'll be right back with the rest of the news.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
A California drone pilot flying illegally in Las Vegas lost control of his Phantom 3, only to have the vehicle fly off and hit terrain on the side of a runway at McCarran International Airport. Reuben Burciaga was attempting to shoot video of a downtown Las Vegas landmark in violation of regulations when the vehicle departed control and flew over 2 miles away to KLAS at altitudes as high as 450 feet. Burciaga didn't seem concerned about the safety and legal violations, even posting to social media about losing the drone and controlled airspace surrounding McCarran. The wrecked drone was found by airport workers who handed it over to the LVPD. And that's when the FAA got involved, who traced it to Burciaga and started an investigation. Following a period in which Burciaga failed to properly respond to the FAA, he was fined $14,700, an amount which has since increased to about $20,000 because he has failed to pay the fine or even appeal the matter properly. The FAA is not impressed with late protests of the matter, stating that in this situation the pilot committed a litany of serious violations and really flew the drone carelessly and recklessly. The NTSB released its preliminary report from an accident which occurred on November 1st, involving a Grumman OV-1D participating in the Stuart Airshow. The ATP-rated pilot was killed when the plane went down near the approach end of runway 30, and according to the report, the pilot was scheduled to perform a 12-minute routine that day. The person who was acting as crew chief and whom had accrued about 880 hours in the same make and model airplane during military conflict reported that the pilot informed him and another individual before departure that no acrobatic maneuvers were to be performed due to the ceiling and wind conditions. The crew chief stated that the pilot's only reason to fly was to visually locate the acrobatic box so he would be ready for the show on Saturday. His intent was to make a slow speed low pass, followed by a high-speed low pass, and a normal landing to a full stop. Prior to impact, a witness said he saw the airplane was near the approach end of runway 30, facing approximately down runway 34, overbanked about 100 degrees to the right. He then saw the airplane in a new slow altitude pulling, which continued until he lost sight. He added the engine sounded like they were at full power. And that was our last story of the day. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. To get more aviation and aerospace news any time of the day, just head over to aero-news.net. We here at Aero-News Network are currently looking for talented people to join us. We're looking for additional Airborne program staff with strong camera, video editing, and on-camera presentation skills to join our webcast team, as well as aviation writers and reporters with social media experience to help us get our stories out to the aviation community. If you're interested, please send a resume to Jim at aero-news.net. I'll see you tomorrow.